Hello, hello, Josh Thomas, mortgage broker in Utah. How are you? Hey, I just want to come at you today and try to answer the big question. What does my credit score need to be? And so, of course, this question depends on if I'm refinancing, if I'm buying or rental properties or whatever it is I'm doing. Let's make the assumption that you're just talking about purchasing a property. So let me go ahead and just begin to explain what credit scores look like. So first off, let's take the 30,000 foot view. And before I even get into the mortgage credit scores, let's identify the fact that a mortgage credit score is different. It used to be, 20 years ago, the beginning of my career, it used to be that the mortgage score was pretty much the only score anybody ever talked about. But then credit cards started offering access to your credit score, and the credit bureaus started offering that access, and then Credit Karma rolls out, and other companies like it. And so nowadays, everybody's an expert on credit, but none of those credit scores happen to be the same scores that we pull in the mortgage industry. The only way you can get access to a mortgage credit score is by pulling or applying for a mortgage and having a bank or credit union that hold your application for a mortgage would then give you to that credit score. And it's always a tri-merge. There's always 3 scores that are pulled from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. But those 3 bureaus are the 3 pulled, and we just take the middle of the 3 scores. And so if you have one score that's 750, another score that's 740, and another score that's 500, we're going to go with the 740. If you have one score that's 750, another score that's 500, another score that's 490, we're going to go with 500. And so it's kind of the way the rules work. So whatever that middle score is probably different than whatever you think your credit score is. In the mortgage industry, 850 tends to be the highest, though I don't think I've ever seen that score. I've seen literally thousands of credit reports. I've seen many scores over 800. But to be clear, anything over 780 in all angles is as good as it needs to be. Nothing better than that matters. And to be honest, in most situations, anything over 740 is the same. And so whether it's 800, 780, 820, 740, it doesn't matter. It's all the same in most settings. Jumbo loans and a few niche loans care a little bit. But now let's kind of go down. So obviously, if you're at 740 or above, you're basically A. If we're going to use the alphabet system from schools. So if you're going to come down to like a 720, that might be like an A minus, 700, and every 20 points down, basically gets you further and further away. Now, how low can we go? Well, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. That's a really important thing to recognize. Again, if we're going into the purchase market and we're trying to buy a house, we have financing. And remember, we have 5 different main agencies, right? We've got Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, and USDA. And all 5 of them look at credit differently. FHA is probably the lowest. They'll probably go the lowest. And so we have manual underwrites with down payment assistance down to a 580 credit score for 100% financing, or at least that's the package it's kind of written into. 100% financing doesn't always mean that you won't bring any money to closing. It just means that 100% of that purchase price is then financed. And so if there's closing costs or things like that. And so we can get you specific scenario quotes if you'd like to look at those. But basically 580 is kind of the lowest level, not completely, but kind of the lowest level of what we typically do. Now, under 580, FHA continues to offer financing all the way down to 500 if you can put 10% down. So normal FHA is a 3.5% down payment. Like I said, we actually even had down payment assistance to pay that 3.5% for you. But under that 580, you're going to need to come up with right around 10%. Now, that's not 100% of the case. FHA does have some parameters for different scenarios down to about 550. But basically, 580 to 500 is kind of the end of available financing. Even FHA, since they go below most of the other conventional options, depending on the year and the time, they sometimes will come all the way down to 600. VA typically will go down to 600. Sometimes can go lower. USDA will go pretty low, but getting an approval with USDA with a low credit score is oftentimes not a reality. So in a nutshell, what credit score do I need? It depends on what you're trying to do. So we need to start with figuring that out. But basically, if you've got a 580 or higher, there's options, especially if you're refinancing, especially if you have good equity. If you have a 501 credit score and you're just trying to refinance a house, maybe consolidate or something like that, and if you have a bunch of home equity, you can probably get away with doing that. So it just kind of varies. And then remember the 5 agencies, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA, and USDA, those 5 agencies are not the only loans that exist. There's a sixth pocket of loans, if you will, and this is where all the niches are, all the portfolios, all the different banks and credit unions across the country. Sometimes they'll offer just one-off products that only they offer, and sometimes we can broker those, sometimes we can't, but there's literally thousands of banks and credit unions. And so who knows what other different options are out there. I say never, but always start with us. Give us a call. We can tell you kind of where things are at, and we can kind of let you know, hey, look, this is what you're going to need to go looking for, and we aren't aware of it. And so, we can give you some tips on how to go shopping for it. But generally speaking, as a broker in the state of Utah, we're going to be able to offer more than most lenders are going to be offering, because we have access to so many different lenders, and interest rates, of course, are going to be very, very competitive, even on those lower credit score options. And so anyway, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. If you have any further questions, please let us know. Again, Josh Thomas, mortgage broker in Utah, and I hope this was helpful to you. We'll talk to you later.